Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Manufacturing Transformed. You know, the longer I do this podcast and the more people that I talk to and allow them to share their stories, keeps reminding me that the story of a multi-generational family machine shop, although every single shop is absolutely unique, there's so many common themes to them. And this one is no different. I got to sit down with Damon Snider of Snider Precision near San Luis Obispo, California. And his dad started their shop in the garage in the mid to late 70s, even moved the whole family to a new town with these two machines, put it in a garage. And then over the years, just sort of grew the business organically, bought more machines, hired people, but ultimately needed a second generation to make some hard decisions about just transforming the business from what it was into the potential that it could have in the future. And, Damon started deburring parts when he was, 8 or 9, started running machines when he was, 16, 17, went off to the Navy and then came back again. But to hear about the decisions that he's made in the last couple of years to invest in a quality system, get AS9100 certified, hire some people to help, run the quality department in the business, has truly been a transformational shift and journey. It was exciting to hear that getting that certification has absolutely opened doors for some very big customers. And in fact, just this week, they received their largest purchase order ever, which about fills up half of their capacity for all of 2026. So that's just music to my ears. I'm sure he's obviously even more elated about it, but it just demonstrates to me that you can make these choices, go down these paths that can really be transformational to your shop. So hopefully this episode is inspiring to you. It really makes it concrete in that these decisions can make a big difference. And hopefully it inspires you to follow a similar path and really invest in your business in whatever way that makes sense for you. So thanks for listening to this one. Let's get in and talk to Damon. Damon, welcome to the Manufacturing Transform podcast. I'm glad to have you here.
Glad to be here, Paul. Thank you for having me.
Well, it is always a pleasure to talk to a machine shop owner. I think you guys are the heroes of our economy, and you have a cool story that I'm going to get to learn more about, and so is the audience. So let's start by just giving us a little bit of what does Snider Precision look like today, what you specialize in, where you are, size, and then we'll get into the backstory and the origin of the business too.
Okay. So Snider Precision is about a 6,000 square foot machine shop in San Luis Obispo. We have about 12 full-on CNC machines with a couple backup attachment units and about 14 employees. We're looking to add 2 more immediately.
Mm-hmm. If you can find them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Actually, to
always
be honest,
a challenge.
I have them online. So we have been preempting this. We recently have a buildup. So I have a couple guys online ready to come work for us. Have been talking to them for the last couple months. And that is a challenge. I mean, that's one of the biggest challenges in this business is finding good talent.
For sure.
And I know one of the items we were going to talk about was what makes your shop unique. And the only thing I could think of that makes it unique from another shop is the people that you have inside it. And, we have a good team. And it's been a long run. I mean, we've gone through some characters. You know how machine shops.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, you start in a garage with a couple machines. You just hire whoever you can get, and sometimes it turns out to be good or bad.
Yeah, we all have those stories.
Yeah. But we have a good facility here in SLO, and I love running it. I'm proud of it. My dad built it. I've only been running it for about a year. Retired him at the beginning of the year. So January, my dad decided I'm out of here. He saw some stuff coming. He is very aware and he did things a certain way. And, basically he saw the stringent requirements were being implemented by the customers a little stronger and stronger each month. And he's, been doing this for 50 plus years and decided, maybe I don't want to get into this too much. I'm going to let my son take it over. And so we made a deal and he signed the business over to me and I'm running it now. And it's been a great, fun year. It's been amazing.
Wow. Well, I want to dig more into that, and I think he started it something like 45 years ago. Is that about right?
Yes,
Tell us a little bit of
78.
that origin story.
So he worked for a company called Tally Corporation. It was a giant job shop.
Hmm.
And that's where he learned how to machine. And some point he decided to buy a chucker and put it in his garage and make some parts on the side. And basically grew from there. But in uh, 79, he had one Tsugami chucker and a 58 Bridgeport knee mill, and basically very little backlog, but had enough money to buy a house in Los Osos. So he moved from Oxnard, that's where he was working for Tally,
Just
and
north of
and
LA.
yes, and
That's where Haas
that's
was
right,
founded, right?
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So that's where I came from. But they moved me up when I was 4 years old in 79 and brought the two machines, no backlog. Basically came up here and knocked on doors up here.
That's
Fortunately,
great.
found a company here that needed machine parts. So we just started doing work for them and basically grew from there.
And you guys are in San Luis Obispo, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But and
Beautiful,
Los
beautiful
Osos
area.
is a little tiny town outside of San Luis Obispo. It's off the beaten track. It's kind of a
Okay.
hippie town, but
Okay.
cool place to grow up.
Yeah. Wow. To move with two machines and no prospects and no backlog, but
With a
just,
little
that
kid
takes
and a
guts. That
wife,
takes
and
guts.
yeah, it does. That's very bold. My dad is a bold man.
And your mom was supportive and brave as well.
Yes. Yep.
Cool. So sort of just organic growth over the years since, just found work and added
Basically,
another machine,
yes.
added more people, and
Yep. And we've had some interesting locations and some characters along the way. I mean, I have some stories about his shop. Um, I wasn't
we
working
got
there,
time.
but
We got time if you want to
okay.
share a
Well,
story.
well, one is let's see. So he eventually moved out of the garage. He got some more equipment and had to get a place a little larger. So what he found was a barn in a guy's backyard, and in the backyard was kept a cow, a turkey, and a very aggressive turkey. So, like when you would walk
Okay.
through, so you had to go through a gate and then you'd have to walk to the shop. And so you had to walk by these animals, and the turkey would attack sometimes. And
Oh wow.
yeah,
That's hilarious.
so he had a day crew working at one point and a night crew. And one of the day guys thought that one of the night guys took a tool out of his toolbox, and he was an alcoholic and came in one night with a gun and held the guy up at night, the night
What?
shift guy with a gun,
Oh
asking
my
about
god.
his tool. Yeah, and so that was my dad's best machinist at the time too. So I don't think
Yeah.
he actually fired him. They had a talk and they worked it out, and
Oh
nothing was
man.
stolen. But yeah, pretty crazy.
Oh, well, I just did a podcast a week or so ago that will come out on Machine Shop Mastery, and the guy was talking about how the founder of the shop that he bought, the guy was just sort of like a crotchety old guy, and when he would have the banker in to talk about loans and interest rates and negotiate, he would pull out a pistol from his desk and lay it on the desk right in front of him. It's like, all right, so what interest rate are you offering me? So
Uh,
there's
that's
characters
perfect.
in this industry.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, cool. And was there any specialty niche industry that your dad served all those years?
Well, where we started was, let's see, the company that he found in Los Osos was Cryolab. So they did
Okay.
cryogenic valves. So it was a lot of stainless
Sure.
steel with high finish,
Yeah.
metal on metal valve seating stuff.
Sure.
And really my dad was, an expert at that stuff. He,
Hmm.
would make little fixtures and stuff for the chucker and do some angle cuts and get
Hmm.
real good finishes. And so, yeah,
Thank a machinist. You need machinists to be able to know to make that kind of stuff
that's
that
right.
makes the rest of the world go around. So, prime example.
Yeah.
Cool. And then, at what age did you start getting involved in the shop?
Uh, Early. I remember he would bring home aluminum parts, uh, massive amounts of holes. These were like, well, we called them Dow. This is for Dow key microwave switches. And they would be loaded with little tiny holes and lots of potential burrs. And back then he was working with CNCs and stuff, but we didn't have all the edging and chamfering
Yep.
every edge. So
Sure.
we had to do a lot of hand chamfering. And it was basically, 1 to 5 thousandths. And so you had to be very,
Oh, wow.
careful and meticulous with what you did. And it was hold the countersink with your fingers and spin it in the hole.
Right.
And so I did a
And
lot
it
of,
was this, yeah. What age were you starting to,
I was
to
doing that at
put on
like
5 thou chamfers?
8, 9, 10, 11.
Okay.
Yes. So it's chamfering
Wow.
holes and poking them, making sure they were clear.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Wow.
was involved in that young. And then when I was about 16, 17, he moved me in front of a machine and I started making adjustments to a CNC and stuff like that. And at about 18, I started learning the programming. But to be honest, my dad would come home and be like, I had to work 12 hours. So my mentality was, well, I'm going to go do something else. So I joined the Navy.
Okay.
And to be
Yeah.
honest, I don't think they were that thrilled about it. They, I think, assumed that I should just come work for Snider. It was Snider Machine
Yeah.
Company at the time. So we used to be
Okay.
called Snider Machine Company. We changed
Sure.
it to Snider Precision when we became incorporated in 2000. But
Got it.
but yeah, yeah, I didn't really actually want to be a machinist at first. And
That's a common story.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
As
but as I finished up with my Navy tour, I actually was going to install satellite dishes. So I made a friend in the Navy who was working for a satellite dish company. And this was in the early 90s. And so it was pretty big back then,
yeah. Yep.
installing them and all that kind of stuff. And so I called my mom. I was over in Virginia. That's where I got
Mhm.
out of the Navy. But my parents were here. And I called my mom and I said, hey, I'm going to stay. I got a job. She told me a story that, your dad just went into the shop a couple days ago and nobody was in there, but a couple machines where the spindle was just spinning. And I guess apparently what happened is the guys went in, turned everything on, ran the spindles, and left.
Warm up programs or something?
Whatever. No, just turning the spindle on. So
Okay.
yeah. And these were older machines where you can independently
Sure.
turn these
Yes, of course. And then left.
and then left, like went to the bar or whatever. And so my dad just had a wild hair. This was like a Saturday or something when the guys were supposed to be at work. And he decided to go check and walked into an empty shop when everybody was clocked in. And so he
Mm.
fired everybody. And
Oh, wow.
and there was like 4 or 5 guys, and he kind of needed them, and he had a backlog. He had work to do, but he had to get rid of them. And so he was left alone. And now he's buried in work and he's got to work these major hours. And anyway, my mom told me this story and said, could you come home and help me dad? And so I did. and I never left. And actually, he put me in front of an Omni slide and started showing me the program and how to program it, how to set it up, everything like that. And I got real into it. In fact, real into it. I mean, I was a freak about. I'm a freak about machining. I love it,
Oh, it's amazing.
and I haven't left. And we made good sauce. Me and my dad worked real well together, and we added new people and made sure they were good, upstanding folks. And
Hmm.
so,
Oh,
and
what a story, man.
yeah,
So,
we built it ever since. And I do have a little brother. He's 13 years younger than me, and he's the manufacturing manager now. And
cool.
he's a good machinist and does a good job out there. So, and my daughter runs the front office.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Family affair. Very
Yep.
good. So just to come back to that story, so the guy's turned on the spindle, so the spindle counter is running. So if he's checking spindle hours, it looks like the machines were running. But
If that was
then
the
they just,
logic, I'm not even sure what the logic of that was.
I
Did they
know.
want the power bill to make it look like they were using I have no idea because my dad knows, he counts parts. So,
Sure. Yeah.
but these guys
Oh
were
man.
clowns.
Well, sounds like that was the necessary thing to do, and good. You know, thank you for your service, and then thank you for coming back and being service to your own family's business. So,
Mhm.
and glad that you just got so passionate about it. This is a story I've heard so many times. On this show and Machine Shop Mastery of children that did not want to be in the business or didn't plan on it, but somehow came back and ended up just absolutely loving it and become so passionate about it and are now taking it to the next level.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about that. So you've been running it for about a year, and that's great that you and your dad came up with an agreement to kind of buy it out from him or pass it along.
Hmm.
When did you start to decide that you needed to do something different on the technology or software side and started looking for something like ProShop?
Well, it was kind of let's see, the customer requirement. Well, a lot of it was we couldn't get certain companies to really stick or talk to us. Now,
Okay.
there were a couple aerospace companies here in town that would come and buy a mold. So they'd come and have us do one part. Yeah, it'd be an expensive part, but it'd be one at a time and very rare and nothing more. And I was wondering why aren't they hitting us up more for production work? Because that's
Hmm.
actually what we're production oriented. I want to do volume. I like volume. One of the
Yeah.
things that I love is figuring out a very efficient way. So I like to have a good quantity, enough to justify putting in some good thought and make it an incredibly efficient part. So I'm production oriented. Now I know there's different schools of thought there. I mean, I do like to make one-offs,
Hmm.
interesting pieces and stuff like that,
Yeah. I definitely
but
get
it
it.
is fun to make thousands of something and make it real efficient. Anyway, the aerospace companies were not dealing with us in that form. And it was basically because we weren't AS certified. But they could buy molds and stuff like that. That didn't matter because they were using them. They weren't sending them off to Raytheon or whoever.
Sure.
And so when we realized that, we knew the ERP that we were using, which was very bare bones, wouldn't suffice. The thing about ProShop that's amazing, it's amazing to be honest, the comprehensiveness of it, how you've been able to put all the modules together is one space for everything. The whole QMS, and that's really the biggest one, is the QMS in it is beautiful. So just like you experienced with your audits in your early days, we had the same thing. We've had guys come through. Well, first our auditor to get AS certified, and they looked at our system and was like, "Oh, this thing's great." They've never seen ProShop before, and every time somebody from quality has never seen ProShop and they see how it works, they're like very impressed. So,
I love it. That's awesome.
but yeah, so that was the point at which we made that decision. It was about a year and a half ago,
Okay.
maybe a little longer. It was the beginning of 24. We pulled the trigger on ProShop and trained through 24, and then basically implemented it at the beginning of the year, basically when I took over. And yeah, it's just so comprehensive and so good, easy to use. It's deep, and I'm still learning it. I've been on it for a year and I've used a lot of it, and I'm still picking up a whole. I mean, I got a long way to go, but
Yeah.
it's a beautiful program.
That's a pretty common story. You know, you can't take it all in, can't eat an elephant in one bite,
Yeah,
right? So you got to just like learn different modules at a
yeah.
time and kind of incorporate them in.
And the way we were doing business before too was a little different. And so this is
Okay.
adding a lot to the palette that I'm used to, or that I was used to. Before it was paper travelers, and basically I just go out and shop and hand the guy the work order that he's to do. And
Yeah.
that was it. Now it can be done right from my desk. I don't even need to go out there, and we've gone completely paperless. We don't use any paper. So we have dual monitor setups and the print up on the screen, and have nice wide
Hmm.
screens for that. Yeah, it's a cool
That's great.
setup. It really made it so our shop is clean and sweet.
Nice. And you don't have to dodge. You don't have to dodge a turkey anymore to go
That's
to your
right.
shop.
Yeah, yeah. No more turkeys.
What an upgrade. So did you actually go and visit some of these customers and say, hey, what would it take to get some opportunities to quote on your production work? And they said, well, you got to get your AS, or just talk us through that a little bit.
A lot of times, what it was is those customers told us that. They said, the reason we're not doing this stuff with you is because you're not AS certified. Yeah, so they urged us to do it. And one of our customers just came through and did an audit on us about
Mhm.
3 or 4 days ago. And they were very impressed. We showed them
Mhm.
the ERP system and the QMS in it, and how we're doing the in-process checks, and how it all works and flows together. And they were duly impressed, and we immediately so they came through. I never okay. I shouldn't say this. My dad did work for this company a long time ago, but this was before they required what they NAS certification, basically.
Sure.
And so we actually had their parts down in our display. Um, One of them is
Okay.
an F-16 power supply, but ended up fading. They stopped doing business with us. It was a short run, whatever. It was a long time ago that we did business with this company. Well, they have recently come back, and let's see, we did an inspection for them. So they needed something inspected. And we did it. We made a real nice 9102 report and submitted it. And that basically opened their eyes to, okay, this shop, they can do it. And so they came back and visited us and did a walkthrough. And I should say, Paul, that wasn't 2 or 3 days ago. It was like the beginning of last week.
Okay.
And as they left, the quality guy, they have to stand pretty tough. Right,
Of course, that's their
they're
job.
tough.
Yeah.
And but he said, "This is a really nice shop. You guys got a good thing here." And ever since that visit, I have been quoting packages for them. Every single day, I'm getting a new quote package from that company.
Oh,
I've
music.
gotten a couple of jobs, not all of them, but which is fine. So
Yep.
yeah, it's working.
That is awesome. And do you feel like that visit and their, because I've been on this bandwagon for a long time now, that one of the most effective and important sales tools that a shop can employ is to demonstrate their business operating system to a potential customer or to a customer. And because everyone says they have great quality and great delivery and they have nice machines, but I heard this from a buyer years ago that was a customer of my shop, and he said, when I walk into a shop that has a beautiful website and fancy machines, he's like, in less than 5 minutes, I can just smell the chaos. Like, they can't hide it from me. And they can put up this veil that they're all organized and everything's great. But as soon as I walk in that door, I can tell that it's just a mess behind the curtain. And that's just pervasive in the industry with, shops that are running on paper and they're just doing the best they can and everyone's trying really hard, but they don't have an organized, cohesive, fully integrated end-to-end system. And when you can show that to a customer and they're like, wow, like, we have confidence that they will deliver good parts on time. And here comes the RFQs,
Yep.
right? So that seems like that was your experience.
Yeah, yeah. You want to be leaning forward and not backpedaling. And sometimes, that it's a scramble when you don't have a system that's covering that, at least flags you and lets you know where you are. You're kind of on your heels. And so,
yeah. Okay. And you've received some orders. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And do you have multiple customers now that are glad you have that AS certification and it's kind of opening more doors?
Yep. We've basically got 2 strong ones right now, and we're working on another one. And we're going to continue to keep working on them. But it's pretty amazing what it did. Is it really does give you a confidence. You feel like, well, see, in our county, there's actually only 2 job shops that are AS certified. And really, we don't compete with the other one. Nah, we don't. We do work with some of the same customers, but we're good friends. We're actually really friendly with that other shop.
Oh, that's great.
They're called Next Intent. And they actually have wheels on Mars. So they made the very first rover that was landed on Mars, I think back in the 90s. They built the wheels for. So
that is super cool.
For JPL. He does stuff for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the owner's really decent. And to be honest, inspired us. So they did a lot to help us get here. His quality guy over at Next Intent sent me a link to a ProShop, to one of your podcasts like this, exactly like this. You were talking to the 2 guys who bought ProShop and in 2 weeks got AS certified. So that was the thing. So he sent me that link and I watched that and I went, wow, they made that easy. And so that was one of the kickers that made us go this way.
So you got AS. So our team helped you get that AS, obviously.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And what was that process like? You obviously got our flying start package, right? So we embedded a bunch of, full system already in. Now, had you previously had ISO certification or anything else?
Nope. No, we had nothing.
No,
so we started from nothing. But because we were so unsophisticated before, it actually made this implementation and with the guys and stuff not too bad. Yes, we had our hangups, but I think other shops have more problems with it than we did. Sometimes when you get the old timers and they're stuck in their ways and they don't really like to see changes. Now I know we've talked about sometimes the young guys cause this problem too, but if you're stuck in your ways, sometimes it's hard to change.
Yeah.
And it's like that other shop, Next Intent. They have some very, senior folks that when they went to their AS, they had some hangups because, they wanted to do it the way they've always done it. That worked. So why change it?
Yeah. Yep. Well, that's so common, and I think as kind of to your point, different shops have different experiences, and I think it often comes down to just the culture that the leadership has fostered over years. Are they a shop that's open to new ideas? Are they pushing the envelope? Are they like continuous improvement mindset people, or are they really not?
Yeah,
And that translates into doing a big initiative of any kind,
that's
whether
right.
it's taking on 5-axis machining or buying software or getting a certification or whatever.
Yeah, attitude flows down as well, like from
Oh
the
yeah,
top.
yeah. And do you have a bunch of older machinists that are getting close to their retirement years, or yeah? What's your shop like?
No, to be honest, not really. I have one older gentleman. He's our, main machinist. I love him. He's been with us for 25 years.
Oh, amazing.
He actually is great. So he time tracks real well. Everything is pretty good that he
Hmm.
does. So he took to the system um, very easy. And actually, yeah, my resistance. Uh, so, but yeah, so he's really the only older guy. I do have a pretty young shop.
That's nice.
Yeah,
That's wonderful.
yeah,
I'd love to maybe go down that rabbit hole a little bit. You know, I have this belief that machinists want to make parts. They want to do their setups, not have a bunch of problems, not have to fight a bunch of things they're trying to figure out or refigure out, from last time, and, know what tools they're supposed to be using. And if you provide a machinist a system and a set of tools, not physically cutting tools, but, just a way for them to actually just make ships more often
yeah.
and
Get to their
not have a
job. Yeah.
actually do their job, the part of their job they like,
Hmm.
that they actually like that.
Hmm.
And, dealing with, chicken scratch on a paper traveler that might be coffee stained or oil stained, and you can't remember what was going on from last time, and you're kind of reinventing the wheel. Like, a machinist doesn't want to do that.
Yeah.
So if you can frame it in a way that you're providing them the tools to enjoy their job more, be more productive, and have less
And
frustrations.
even be independent, where they
Yeah.
walk up and log in and they're off and running. They got everything that I needed to tell them is in the system, and everything quality needed to tell them is in the system. And so, yeah, it's kind of an independence too. You don't have
Yeah.
to have the boss come up and throw a traveler at you and tell you I need this or that or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be.
Or have to go back and ask a bunch of questions because you're uncertain about something. Oh, that's fantastic.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like, we talked a little earlier about learning different parts of the system and, getting more out of it as you progress. And you alluded to inspections. So you're already doing your digital inspections in the system.
Mhm.
And sounds like you're incorporating work instructions. Are you doing your tooling yet, or just elaborate a little more
Uh,
on what parts you're using and what you're going to be using in the
We
future?
want to we want to get into the tooling module and load it up, but we have not yet. That one is
Hmm.
probably going to be last, or one of the last
Okay.
items that
Yep.
we'll fill in.
Yep.
But yeah, it's going to be beautiful when it is. Um, but it's extensive because you got to get every piece of information. Every single thing out there is a piece of information to put into the system, and
Right.
so getting that in is the challenge. And
So, do you have a tool crib today where most of the tools are stored, or is
yeah.
they like in everyone's toolboxes all over the place?
No, we do have cabinets, tooling cabinets
Okay.
in a location, and it's organized and stuff, but it's not completely organized the way that
Hmm.
we want to eventually be. Um,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, I almost think we'll probably end up going to one of those locking cabinets and having like a vendor replenish and do all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff too. So all
Okay.
integrated.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, and with our API, there's more and more opportunity to have an integration with that vending machine vendor, so everyone can see exactly how many tools you have of each type. See that in ProShop. The thing I like about vending machines is they replenish it as you get low because they can see how many you have. The area that can still sometimes catch a shop off guard is if they have a spike in demand of certain tools that they can't predict with the vending machine alone, right? If you have a couple of titanium jobs or something that both hit at the same time and you're just going to go through, a dozen end mills and you have a minimum stock of 3 or 4, all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, we don't have a tool right now and the machine is sitting idle. So the combination of ProShop predicting the tools a week or two in advance, making sure you can front load getting more in there so you never run out, and then the ongoing support of the vending machine, I think is a great combination.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, one of the worst things is having your machine sit waiting for a little end mill or a drill or something.
Yeah. So one of the, knowing that you haven't fully embraced the tooling module yet, but one of the sort of mindset shifts that often happens with a company that's onboarded ProShop is they become a little more thoughtful in the upfront planning of their jobs, and what's my router going to look like? What is the material? And oftentimes that will help out immensely on the back end where they're more they're more likely to have everything that they need when they go to do that setup, make sure they have the tools, the material, the inspection gauges, the inspection plan, and just hopefully, like you were saying, a machinist can just walk up to a job and just do it without having to go ask a bunch of questions. So that sounds like that has been a dynamic that has played out at your shop. Maybe it's gotten better, or setups getting faster. Maybe can you elaborate on just things that have improved in that way?
Yes. If I'm not around, and so I basically am I still consider myself the head machinist, but there is still tribal knowledge. There's still tribal stuff up there, right? That
Of course.
maybe we haven't cycled around to it often enough to where I can get that out there. So being able to get that put into a note or a sequence detail or a written description so that somebody can pick up on it and try to get it done themselves is definitely been something that's benefited the shop and helped them keep them out of my office. Not that I don't want to see my machinists come see me or ask me a question. A lot of times I like that. I mean, I love interacting
Absolutely.
with them, but yeah, it keeps them independent and they can figure it out.
Well, I think what you're speaking to, and I know there's many shop owners and leaders that are in this transitionary period where they were the most senior technical person. They know a ton about everything, and going through this period where machinists have to come ask them all the time, which isn't productive for anybody. Even if you enjoy chatting with your machinist, maybe you'd rather do that on a break period or over lunch than, 20 times throughout the day, where you're trying to get quotes done or you're trying to go win new work or doing something more strategic. And it's just these constant, questions. But yeah, going through a thoughtful process of downloading what in writing and pictures and descriptions, in screenshots from the CAM or CAD system, and starting to let people pick up on that. And even not with ownership, if you have that senior level machinist who may only be with you for another 5 years or so, just starting a process where younger people are shadowing them, asking questions, getting notes down, just whatever it might be to try to download all that incredible breadth of knowledge they have into a more systematized process, so that if they're even gone on vacation, things can still proceed without a bunch of rigmarole.
Right.
So you and I actually met for the first time, was it the week before last, in Chicago at the throughput event that we put on?
Yes, sir.
And this speaks a little bit, and thank you so much for coming to that, by the way, flying all the way across the country to come to Chicago. And
sure, I was happy to do it. I never seen Chicago, and was a cool trip. It was really fun. And
Awesome.
Andrew knew the area. You remember Andrew? He was with me.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, he knew the area real well, so he took me around and showed me a couple things, and it was really
Oh,
fun.
nice.
Yep, good
Yeah,
experience.
we had good weather,
Yep.
and yeah.
Thank you for the beers.
Oh yeah, our pleasure. Yeah, and golf. You
And
were out there
golf.
swinging some golf. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, you were pretty serious about it too. You were hitting some long drives. You alluded to earlier, like you used to just take a traveler out and hand it to somebody, right? And there's now, I'll call it like more of an operating system, right? And some of that is promoted and structured as a best practice by just the usage of ProShop, right? There's the project assignment dashboard, and you can assign planners and project managers, and they can get notified, and then it sort of flows. And I've said for a long time that ProShop is more than just a piece of software. It really is an operating system for how to run an effective machining company.
The business guideline. I mean, I consider
Yeah.
it a guideline to the business. It controls how we do things, or we control it, but yeah, it gives us a business model, I guess. It really, really, really helps.
That's why we're doing it.
So many years, we just had guys on the floor making parts, and my dad running the shop or running the front office. Maybe he had a backup person for shipping and stuff like that, but it was basically that. So there was no real quality department.
Right.
We checked our parts. The machinist kept an eye on everything and did the best we could, but there wasn't anything robust there. So implementing, hiring on some personnel and dedicating to quality, because I've watched it over the years too. My dad tried. Okay, so he had an amazing secretary long ago, Patty Montoya, who knew everything about quality. She knew this industry so well. Her dad was a machinist, made a lot of medical stuff. And so she was very versed in quality. And so she taught my dad a lot about it. And they had a pretty robust system back in the day for the early 80s and mid 80s. Then she retired and left my dad. And so it kind of left him without that. I wouldn't say she left him with the knowledge, but just he didn't keep the quality going.
Right.
And so it just turned into make parts. And he did that. And every few years, he would decide to hire a guy in or somebody, bring him in, and try to implement some quality. And each time he did that, it ended up failing and fading away. And so we did that several times. And anyway, this go around, we had gone full on. We're gonna make sure we have real good, smart people in there, and just make it part of our system. It's just going to be part of Snider Precision. We're going to have a robust quality department.
And so was that decision like prior to deciding you need a better software, or was that after you decided to get
It's
ProShop?
always been in our head. We'll always have known that we needed that. And so it's always been in the back of the head. But yeah, when we started bolstering everything else, yes, of course, quality had to be part of it.
Sure. And then that, as we already talked about, opened some doors to some new companies, and you have recently received your biggest order to date.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. Significant. Got 26 at least. Like the revenue that we had this last year, half of it is already filled in for the next year. And
Congratulations.
yeah.
That's comforting to have that kind of backlog.
Yeah, backlog is real good.
Yeah, that adds a level of stability that is tough when you're just a job shop and you don't know what's coming 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, it makes it easier to make decisions, whether I need to buy this equipment or hire this person. So
that's awesome. That's a a great way to wrap up the conversation here. I think that, the proof's in the pudding, that, investing in a quality system, in the people, in the backbone, and sort of reorienting your business around that concept and that system can absolutely, when done right, pay dividends in new work, new customers, and that can be transformational for the business.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to make the investment and buy in, and get everybody else to buy in. It'll work. And it does work.
Yeah, and the fact that you had that for years and years. I mean, it was in the back of your mind that this is the right thing to do, and it just needed the right culmination of things all coming together, the right people you hired, the right systems you put in place, and now you're sort of riding that wave.
Yeah.
And that's so awesome to hear that.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I guess I was willing to go through all these changes, and we have made a lot of changes at Snider. Whereas my dad was getting to the point where, he didn't really want to go through those. And I understand,
Oh, sure.
It has been work, but it's also been very fun. It's been a fun experience so far. So, yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And thank you for coming on and sharing your journey with us. If people want to learn more about Snider Precision, where would you direct them to learn more?
SniderPrecision.com.
That's a nice, easy URL. So it's great that you got that one.
Yeah. And my email's right in there. So if you need a quote, whatever, the link is in there.
Okay. And if there's someone listening that's thinking about an ERP or on the fence or doing research, can they reach out to you to ask you more questions?
Absolutely. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Paying it forward a little bit. And I need to maybe get the name of the person that sent you that webinar link or podcast link about ProShop and thank him and, appreciate him, sharing it with you.
Cliff Miyamoto at Next Intent. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Now they're using M1 over there.
Okay.
But yeah, Cliff saw that and was like, you guys should look into this.
Okay.
And in fact, to be honest, we showed them our system. Okay. So Paul, we showed M1 users our system, and he's going, because he had to get like high QA and some other, he had to integrate some other softwares into it to make it, and it's not as comprehensive as yours. So I think they're jealous of us.
Well, maybe someday in the future. Damon, thank you again so much for coming on and sharing this. Congratulations on your success, and excited that your next generation is already in the business, and who knows, maybe in another 20 years we'll do another podcast with him.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Paul.
All right, have a great one.
All right, you too.